All right, let's dive into something that's quietly changing how we experience the internet. We're going to talk about a design philosophy that's all about reconnecting our digital world with the natural one. It's called biophilic web design, and it might just be the cure for screen fatigue.
You know that feeling, right? At the end of a long day, you just feel completely drained by your screen. It's that screen glow fatigue, this unique kind of exhaustion that comes from swimming in a sea of sharp corners, cold blue light, and just endless grids of data. And well, it turns out you're not just imagining it.
And here's the crucial thing to understand. That feeling isn't on you. It's not some personal weakness. It's actually a fundamental flaw in how we've been designing our digital spaces. For years, we've built environments that work against our own human nature.
And the answer, the solution, lies in this powerful idea: biophilia. The great biologist Edward O. Wilson put a name to it. It's the theory that we humans are literally hardwired with a deep genetic need to connect with nature. You know, it's the reason a simple plant on your desk can make you feel better, or why a walk in the woods feels like hitting a reset button.
Okay, so let's get into the science of this, because it's not just about adding pretty pictures of mountains to a website. There's some really fascinating research that explains exactly why our brains just light up when they see natural elements, even if it's just on a screen.
This slide breaks down something called attention restoration theory, and it's so cool. See, most of our day, we're using what's called directed attention. Think of it like a mental battery that you use for spreadsheets, for coding, for anything that takes real focus. It drains pretty fast. But when you look at something like a natural pattern, it engages your involuntary attention. It's effortless. It doesn't cost you any energy. In fact, it lets that main battery of yours actually recharge.
And if that wasn't enough, there's also stress reduction theory. The research here is undeniable. Just looking at calming, natural scenes can create a real, physical change in your body. We're talking lower blood pressure, less of the stress hormone cortisol, a slower heart rate. In the digital world, that feeling of calm builds an incredible amount of trust in what you're looking at. So, okay, the science is amazing. But the big question is, how do we actually put this to work on a real website? Let's break this down into a practical guide, a tutorial for how this all comes together.
It all comes down to these three core principles, which are actually borrowed from the world of architecture. This is our playbook. You can either bring nature in directly, you can mimic nature's forms and patterns, or you can actually shape the digital space itself to feel more natural.
First up is the most obvious one, direct experience. Now, this is not about grabbing some cheesy stock photo. No way. We're talking about using authentic, high-quality video of wind rustling through leaves or a really rich, detailed landscape photo. You can even add subtle things like optional soundscapes, user-controlled sounds of gentle rain to make it way more immersive. The second principle is all about using what are called natural analogs. See, our brains are pattern recognition machines, and we are built to recognize the shapes and textures of nature. So instead of sharp, rigid boxes, a designer might use flowing layouts with curves that bring to mind things like leaves or seashells, using textures that feel like wood grain or stone, and sticking to an earthy color palette of greens and browns. It all works together to create that connection.
And this third one, this is maybe the most advanced level, the experience of space. This taps deep into our evolutionary instincts. The idea of prospect and refuge is huge. From an evolutionary standpoint, we crave a clear view of our surroundings. That's prospect. But we also want a safe, cozy spot to retreat to. That's refuge. A good website gives you a clear overview of everything, but also clean, focused areas where you can dive in without distraction. It's about creating a world that feels rich and complex, but never, ever chaotic.
Now, a beautiful, calming website is one thing. But let's be real, performance matters. So let's talk about the incredible connection between biophilic design and something super practical: how well your site ranks in search engines.
This is the million-dollar question, isn't it? It's what every client or stakeholder wants to know. How does investing in a nature-inspired look actually make me more visible on Google? Well, the answer has everything to do with how people behave when they're on your site.
It's actually really simple. Search engines like Google want to promote websites that people genuinely enjoy using. When a site is psychologically pleasing and reduces stress, people just naturally want to stick around longer. That increases your dwell time. And because the design is clear and not frustrating, fewer people hit the back button right away. That lowers your bounce rate. And guess what? Both of those are massive signals to Google that your site is a winner.
But wait, there's more. In a world full of cookie-cutter templates, a unique, thoughtful biophilic design screams quality. It tells users and Google that this is a legitimate, trustworthy brand.
It directly boosts what Google calls EEAT. That stands for experience, expertise, authoritativeness, and trustworthiness, and it's a huge factor in ranking. And I want to be clear, this is not just some passing fad. Biophilic design is an approach that's going to grow and merge with the most exciting technologies that are just around the corner.
Just look at this timeline. These ideas started in physical buildings. Right now, we're seeing them take over web design. But the future? Just imagine AI that can generate infinite, unique, natural patterns for a website background in real time. Or think about virtual reality spaces that feel like a peaceful garden instead of a clunky digital office. That's exactly where this is all going.
And this quote just sums it all up perfectly. This is about a fundamental pivot. We're moving away from designing for the machine first, and we're finally starting to create digital ecosystems that are built for us, for our actual human psychology.
So I'll leave you with this final thought to take with you. The next time you're building something online, or even just browsing, ask yourself this one simple question. Is this space working with human nature, or is it working against it? The answer, as you now know, can make all the difference. Thanks for tuning in.